Hello and welcome. We're about to embark on a journey not to a distant land of ice or jungle, but back in time to an era of unparalleled glamour and cinematic magic, Hollywood's golden age. This was a world populated by titans of the silver screen, individuals whose performances have become etched into the very fabric of our cultural history. Their faces, their voices, their stories have captivated generations, creating a mythology that endures to this very day. But beyond the dazzling lights of the studio system and the carefully constructed images projected onto the screen, there existed a different kind of narrative. It is a story not of fame or fortune, but of character. Today our focus is not on the box office figures or the critical acclaim, but on something far more rare and precious, the profound kindness and genuine generosity that certain stars displayed when the cameras stopped rolling. These are the tales of individuals who used their immense influence not for personal gain, but to uplift others. So I invite you to join me as we explore the lives of these remarkable figures. We will look beyond the iconic roles to discover the true nature of the men and women who brought them to life. This is a celebration of humanity, of compassion, and of the quiet, often unseen acts of goodness that define some of Hollywood's most beloved legends. It is a respectful tribute to those whose legacies are built not just on talent, but on the enduring power of a kind heart. In the vast ecosystem of Hollywood, few figures were as universally beloved as James Stewart. He possessed a unique, almost paradoxical quality, an extraordinary talent for portraying the ordinary man. On screen, he was the relatable hero, the fumbling romantic, the steadfast neighbour. His performances were marked by a hesitant, stammering sincerity that felt not like acting, but like a genuine window into a good and earnest soul. It was a persona that audiences instinctively trusted and adored. This on-screen persona, however, was no mere fabrication. It was a direct reflection of the man himself. Stewart carried with him an innate humility that was exceptionally rare in the often egotistical world of stardom. He saw himself not as a celestial being of the silver screen, but as a working actor, a craftsman dedicated to his trade. He treated every member of the cast and crew, from the director to the grip, with the same level of respect and quiet courtesy. His service during the Second World War is perhaps the most profound testament to his character. Already an Oscar-winning star, he could have easily accepted a safe, stateside role in morale-boosting films. Instead, he actively sought combat duty, enlisting as a private and rising through the ranks on sheer merit to become a decorated squadron commander. He flew numerous dangerous missions over enemy territory, viewing it not as an act of heroism, but simply as his duty. He seldom spoke of his wartime experiences upon his return to Hollywood. There was no grandstanding, no leveraging of his veteran status for publicity. He quietly resumed his career, bringing an even greater depth and a subtle, world-weary gravity to his post-war roles, most notably in films like It's a Wonderful Life. In this he embodied the struggles of a generation, his personal sacrifices lending an unshakable authenticity to his art. In every aspect of his life, James Stewart remained the man his audiences believed him to be, decent, honourable and profoundly human. He was a pillar of integrity, in an industry often lacking it, a quiet giant whose legacy is defined as much by his character off-screen as by his iconic performances on it. His kindness was not a performance, it was the very core of his being. The name Audrey Hepburn evokes an immediate image of elegance, of a gamine-like grace that redefined Hollywood glamour. Her presence on screen was luminous, a delicate yet powerful force that captivated audiences in films like Roman Holiday and Breakfast at Tiffany's. She possessed a rare ability to project both an aristocratic poise and a vulnerable, wide-eyed innocence, creating characters that were aspirational yet deeply relatable. She was, and remains, a true icon of style and screen, but the radiance she projected was not confined to the cinematic frame. It emanated from a deep well of compassion forged in the hardships of her own youth. Having endured starvation and the horrors of war as a child in the Netherlands, she never forgot the profound impact of humanitarian aid. This experience planted a seed of empathy that would blossom magnificently in the later stages of her life, becoming her truest and most important role. Long after she had largely retired from acting, Audrey dedicated herself almost entirely to her work as a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. This was not a token celebrity endorsement. It was a demanding, hands-on commitment that took her to some of the most impoverished and dangerous corners of the world. She waded through mud in flooded villages, held sick and starving children in her arms, and used her global platform to give a voice to the voiceless. Those who worked alongside her spoke of a woman completely devoid of vanity. She would travel for weeks with minimal luggage, sleep in basic accommodations, and focus all her energy on the children she was there to help. She used her fame not to draw attention to herself, but to shine a blinding light on the suffering of others, lobbying world leaders and giving impassioned speeches that were informed by first-hand experience and heartbreaking sincerity. Audrey Hepburn's greatest legacy, therefore, is twofold. She is remembered as the enchanting star of the Golden Age, but also, and perhaps more importantly, as a tireless humanitarian who harnessed her fame for the noblest of purposes. Her kindness was an active, driving force, a testament to the belief that a life of privilege carries with it a profound responsibility to serve those with none. While his primary domain was the small screen of television, the gentle spirit of Fred Rogers radiated a warmth and sincerity that permeated the wider world of entertainment, including Hollywood. His influence was of a different sort, not of box office power, but of a quiet, unshakable moral authority. In an industry often driven by conflict and cynicism, Mr. Rogers was a revolutionary figure, proving that gentleness could be a source of immense strength. His approach was deceptively simple: to speak directly and respectfully to his audience, particularly to children, about the complex emotions that define the human experience. He never condescended. He tackled subjects like anger, loss and fear with a calm empathy that was both comforting and empowering. He created a neighbourhood of make-believe that was, in reality, a safe space for processing the very real challenges of growing up. This gentle nature was not a character he put on for the cameras, it was authentically him. In his interactions within Hollywood circles, whether appearing on talk shows or participating in industry events, he maintained the same calm, attentive demeanour. He listened more than he spoke, and when he did speak, his words were chosen with deliberate care and kindness. He was known to write countless personal letters and make phone calls to people, famous or not, who he felt might need a word of encouragement. He famously defended public broadcasting before a cynical Senate subcommittee, not with anger or aggression, but with the same quiet, heartfelt passion he brought to his program. He spoke of the importance of providing children with expressions of care, and in doing so, he won over the hardened politicians, securing vital funding. It was a masterclass in the power of earnest, compassionate communication, a trait often in short supply. Fred Rogers stands as a testament to the profound impact one person can have by simply choosing in every interaction to be kind. He reminded a fast-paced, often superficial industry of the importance of emotional honesty and the validation of every individual's feelings. His legacy is not in blockbuster films, but in the millions of lives he touched by being a dependable, caring neighbour to the entire world. Carrie Grant was the epitome of suave sophistication. On screen, he was the charismatic leading man, effortlessly charming, witty, and impeccably dressed. He moved through comedies and thrillers with an athletic grace and a light touch that just seemed utterly natural. He crafted a persona of timeless elegance that made him one of the most bankable and admired stars of his generation. He was, in the public imagination, the ideal man. Behind this polished veneer, however, was a man who never forgot his humble beginnings as Archibald Leach from Bristol, England. This awareness of his own journey from poverty to unimaginable fame instilled in him a remarkable sense of perspective and a quiet, often unpublicized generosity. He understood the value of a helping hand because he had once needed one himself. Grant was known among his colleagues for his thoughtful and generous spirit. He famously donated his entire salary from the Philadelphia Story to the British War Relief Society, a stunning gesture of patriotism and compassion during a time of great crisis. He did so without fanfare, preferring that the focus remain on the cause rather than on his contribution. This was a pattern that would repeat throughout his life. He was also notably generous with his fellow actors. When his co-star Grace Kelly married Prince Rainier of Monaco, Grant was unable to attend the wedding. Instead of a simple gift, he arranged for a team of Hollywood's best cinematographers to film the entire ceremony for the couple as his personal present, a priceless and incredibly thoughtful memento. It was a gesture that spoke volumes about his consideration for his friends. Even with fans, Grant was known to be gracious and patient, a rarity for a star of his magnitude. While intensely private, he understood that his public persona brought joy to people and treated that responsibility with respect. Cary Grant's kindness was like his on-screen persona, understated, elegant, and delivered with a touch of class. He proved that true style was not just about how you dressed, but about how you treated others. Grace Kelly's Hollywood career was brief but meteoric, a brilliant flash of light that left an indelible mark. In just a few short years, she became the quintessential Hitchcock blonde, an actress of cool, elegant beauty and surprising emotional depth. She projected an aura of refined serenity, a patrician grace that seemed almost otherworldly amidst the hustle of Hollywood. She was the embodiment of class, both on and off the screen. Her transition from Hollywood royalty to actual royalty upon her marriage to Prince Rainier III of Monaco seemed a natural progression. Yet she did not simply retreat into a life of palatial luxury. Instead, she embraced her new role with a profound sense of duty and a deep-seated commitment to charitable work, translating her on-screen grace into real-world action. Her kindness was not passive. It was a vocation. As Princess Grace of Monaco, she became a tireless patron of the arts and a champion for children's causes. She founded Amade Mondiale, a non-governmental organization recognized by the United Nations, dedicated to protecting children from violence, exploitation and abuse. This was not a vanity project. It was a serious, lifelong commitment to which she dedicated immense personal energy and influence long before celebrity philanthropy became commonplace. She was also known for her personal warmth, a quality that lay just beneath her famously cool exterior. She established a garden club in Monaco and took great joy in the simple pleasure of arranging flowers. She was a devoted mother who sought to give her children as normal an upbringing as possible within the gilded cage of royalty. Those who knew her spoke of a down-to-earth woman with a quick wit and a genuine interest in others. Grace Kelly's story is one of a woman who gracefully navigated two extraordinary worlds. She brought a quiet dignity to Hollywood and then channeled that same poise into a life of meaningful public service. Her legacy is one of elegance, yes, but it is an elegance rooted in a deep and abiding kindness, a desire to use her unique position to create a better, more beautiful and more compassionate world. Gregory Peck possessed a rare and powerful screen presence. With his towering height, resonant voice and dignified bearing, he was often cast as the moral centre of his films. He embodied integrity. His most iconic role as Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird was not so much a performance as it was a perfect fusion of actor and character. The quiet strength, wisdom and unwavering sense of justice he portrayed on screen felt entirely authentic. This was because, in truth, it was. Gregory Peck lived his life by the same principled code as the characters he so often played. He was a man of deep conviction, using his considerable fame not for self-aggrandizement, but as a platform to advocate for the causes he believed in. His kindness was intrinsically linked to his powerful sense of social responsibility and his belief in fairness for all. Throughout his career, Peck was a vocal supporter of the civil rights movement, a stance that was not always popular or professionally safe in his time. He was an early and active member of the American Cancer Society and served as a national chairman. He also lent his voice and support to the National Endowment for the Arts, championing the importance of culture and creativity in society. He did not just play heroes, he actively tried to be one in the real world. His respectful demeanour was legendary on film sets. He was known for his professionalism and his courteous treatment of everyone, regardless of their station. Co-stars often spoke of his generosity as a scene partner, his willingness to ensure that others had their moment to shine. He was a leader by example, demonstrating that true strength did not require bluster or ego, but a calm and steady character. In an industry often characterized by fleeting trends and shifting values, Gregory Peck was a constant. He was Hollywood's conscience, a man whose personal integrity was as solid and dependable as his on-screen presence. His legacy is that of a consummate actor and an even greater man, one who understood that the truest measure of a person is not the awards they win, but the principles they stand for. Lucille Ball was honestly a force of nature, a comedic supernova who, really redefined the landscape of television. As Lucy Ricardo, she was this whirlwind of slapstick genius, a true master of physical comedy and expressive timing. She was ambitious, audacious, and outrageously funny, breaking down barriers for women in comedy and, becoming one of the most powerful executives in Hollywood. Her on-screen persona was that of a lovable schemer, always striving for the spotlight. But behind the scenes, as the head of Desilu Productions alongside her husband Desi Arnaz, Lucy's ambition was channeled into a remarkable and often overlooked generosity, especially toward other performers. Having struggled for years as a so-called B-movie queen before finding monumental success, she had a deep empathy for the anxieties and aspirations of fellow actors. She knew firsthand what it felt like to need a break. This empathy showed up as a fierce loyalty to her cast and crew. When Vivian Vance, who played Ethel Mertz, was hesitant about signing on because she felt she wasn't glamorous enough, Lucy was her biggest champion, assuring her that her comedic talent was what truly mattered. She fought for her co-stars, creating a collaborative, family-like atmosphere on a set that became known for its professionalism and mutual respect. Her support, though, it really extended beyond her own show. As a powerful studio head, she had the green light on new projects, and she used that power to launch iconic shows that might have otherwise been overlooked. Most famously, she championed a fledgling science fiction series with an unusual premise. Against the advice of her board, she personally financed the pilot for a show called Star Trek, ensuring its journey to the screen and, into television history. Lucille Ball was a shrewd and brilliant businesswoman, but her success was always tempered with a genuine desire to see others succeed as well. She was the matriarch of her studio, a tough but fair leader who was willing to take a chance on talent and who fostered an environment where creativity could truly flourish. Her kindness was that of a mentor and a protector, the queen of comedy who generously shared her kingdom. Kaye was, honestly, a multi-talented marvel, a whirlwind of comedic energy. He could sing, dance and contort his face into, 1,000 expressions. He was a master of those rapid-fire, tongue-twisting patter songs and broad physical comedy. On screen, in films like The Court Jester and White Christmas, he radiated this infectious, almost childlike joy that was, frankly, impossible to resist. He was a human sparkler, casting light and laughter wherever he went. And this vibrant, cheerful personality was not an act confined to the soundstage. It was the essence of who he was, a boundless energy that he channeled into one of the most significant and long-lasting celebrity humanitarian efforts of the 20th century. Long before it became a common cause for stars, Kaye dedicated himself to the world's children as the very first goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. His commitment was extraordinary and deeply personal. For decades, he travelled the globe on behalf of the organisation, visiting dozens of countries. He even had a unique pilot's licence that allowed him to fly his own plane to remote locations, bringing not just aid, but his own unique brand of cheer. Danny believed that laughter was a universal language, a kind of medicine that could transcend cultural and linguistic barriers. Footage from his travels is honestly incredibly moving. He would sit on the dusty ground, surrounded by children who had never seen a movie, and communicate solely through mime, funny faces and song. He conducted imaginary orchestras, made silly noises, and simply played, bringing moments of pure, unadulterated joy to children living in the most dire of circumstances. He saw them not as victims, but as children who deserved to laugh. Kaye's work with UNICEF was his life's passion, a role he cherished more than any film credit. He used his immense talent not to entertain paying audiences, but to connect with the most vulnerable. His kindness was active, playful, and profoundly impactful. He was more than a court jester. He was a global ambassador of joy, leaving a legacy of laughter and compassion that continues to inspire. Gene Kelly danced with, a uniquely American energy. Where Fred Astaire was ethereal and elegant, Kelly was athletic, muscular and grounded. He incorporated elements of sport and everyday movement into his choreography, creating routines that were both breathtakingly complex and wonderfully relatable. He was an innovator, a demanding perfectionist who pushed the boundaries of what dance on film could be, most famously in The Revolutionary and American in Paris and The Joyous Singin' in the Rain. As a director and choreographer, Kelly was known for his relentless work ethic and his exacting standards. He demanded the best from himself and from everyone around him. Yet, beneath this tough, perfectionistic exterior was a dedicated mentor who was deeply invested in nurturing the next generation of talent. His passion for dance was not just about his own performance, but about the art form itself. He was known to spend countless extra hours working with younger, less experienced dancers in his ensembles, patiently teaching them complex steps and helping them build their confidence. He saw potential in others and took it upon himself to help them realize it. He wasn't just creating a dance number for a film, he was actively training a new cohort of performers, sharing the knowledge he had worked so hard to acquire. A famous example of his mentorship was his work with Debbie Reynolds on Singin' in the Rain. Reynolds was a gymnast, not a trained dancer, and the grueling routines Kelly choreographed pushed her to her physical and emotional limits. While he was tough on her, he also believed in her, and his rigorous training transformed her into a credible dancing co-star, launching her into a new level of stardom. He saw her potential and refused to let her give up. Gene Kelly's kindness was that of a passionate teacher. It was not always soft, but it was always constructive, aimed at elevating those around him. He generously shared his innovative vision and his technical mastery, ensuring that his influence would extend far beyond his own iconic performances. He built a legacy not just on his own 2 feet, but on the many feet of the dancers he inspired, encouraged and lifted up. So, in the depths of the Great Depression, a little girl with bouncing curls and a dimpled smile danced and sang her way into the heart of a nation. Shirley Temple was more than a child star. She was a phenomenon, a symbol of hope and optimism during one of America's darkest times. Her cheerful disposition and precocious talent made her the biggest box office draw in the world, a beacon of joy for millions. The pressures of such unprecedented childhood fame could have easily led to a troubled adulthood. Yet Shirley Temple navigated her life with remarkable poise and a steadfastly positive attitude. The same intelligence and charm that captivated audiences on screen were qualities she carried with her throughout her life, applying them to a new and unexpected arena long after her film career had ended. Her transition into public service was a testament to her sharp intellect and her enduring desire to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. As Shirley Temple Black, she embarked on a distinguished career in diplomacy. This was no honorary position. She served as the United States representative to the United Nations, and later as the United States ambassador to both Ghana and Czechoslovakia. In these roles, she was known for her meticulous preparation, her tenacity, and her genuine warmth. She earned the respect of career diplomats and foreign leaders who may have initially been skeptical of the former child star. In Czechoslovakia, she was present during the 1989 Velvet Revolution, a pivotal moment in the fall of communism, and she was praised for her calm and supportive presence during a time of immense political upheaval. Shirley Temple's life story is a remarkable journey from one stage to another. The little girl who brought smiles to a struggling nation grew into a woman who served that nation with distinction and honor on the world stage. Her kindness evolved from the innocent charm of the good ship Lollipop to the mature, dedicated work of a respected diplomat. She proved that her positive spirit was not just an act, but a core principle that guided her entire extraordinary life. As our journey through this golden era comes to a close, we are left with more than just memories of classic films and iconic performances. We are left with the enduring stories of these remarkable individuals whose legacies shine brightly not only for their talent, but for the profound humanity they displayed. James Stewart, Audrey Hepburn, Gregory Peck, and all the others we've celebrated today remind us that the true measure of a star is not the light that shines upon them, but the light they shine upon others. Their stories of service, mentorship, and quiet generosity paint a richer, more complete picture of Hollywood's past. They prove that even in an industry built on illusion and image, genuine character and compassion can be the most powerful and lasting qualities. These were not just actors playing parts, they were people who, when given an immense platform, chose to use it for good, leaving the world a little kinder than they found it. Thank you for joining me on this look back at some of the Golden Age's kindest souls. Their light continues to inspire, reminding us of the timeless importance of grace and goodwill. Now, I would be delighted to hear from you. Please share your own favourite stories or memories of these or other kind-hearted stars from this magical era in the comments below. Your reflections help keep their wonderful legacies alive for all of us.